There are kind of two components to what we're looking at and what we're experiencing, particularly in the energy industry. The first one is knowledge, and the second is data. There's a problem with knowledge in the utility industry. It's a huge problem, and the problem is grey-haired people. So 35 to 40% of the utility workforce are retiring in the next 5 years. That's in the States, that's in Europe, I assume it's in Ireland. And you could say, well, what's coming behind them? And apparently, there's not a lot coming behind them. No offense to any of the younger engineers here. But what I mean by that is that the numbers are very low. So we have a huge body of knowledge that's about to walk out the door of the utility industry who haven't passed on that knowledge, because if we look at the demographics of and basically, we're talking about renewable energy, we're talking about wind and solar and so on. These are the people who have to deliver it. So if we don't have enough of them, it doesn't matter how smart the turbines are going to be or how much land we've available. The bottom line is somebody's got to go and figure this out. So that's the first challenge, is we have knowledge walking out the door. We haven't codified it, we haven't passed it on. I'm not saying it's a failure of anybody. The reality is that a lot of younger engineers who come out of college, who are now in their 30s, didn't want to work in the utilities industry because it's not exciting. There are more exciting things to do. Go and work for a startup, go and work for somebody who becomes a unicorn in 3 years, like the guys in Wayflyer, for example. And look, you can't knock somebody for that. But the reality is that we have to make it attractive. Now we're at a point where, as we move into renewable energy, this is where people want to work. So we have to figure out how to transfer that knowledge into a newer block of engineers who are now moving into a commitment to doing something with their lives that has a value. So it's not just a job. The second piece I said, so we'll park that one. The second piece is data. So it's not that we don't have data. We have data. We have too much data. We have data everywhere. So if I was to describe a typical day where somebody in a job is making decisions, most of the people in leadership positions spend their days making decisions. Where do you find the information on which to base your decision? So can you find it in one place? Do you have to look in 2 or 3 places? Do you have to look in 20 places? Do you have to log in and out of 4 or 5 different systems? Hands up anybody who experiences that. Oh, thank God. We could have had a value proposition that had no customers. So what's interesting about that, of course, is that this is a problem that has happened in business year on year, cycle through cycle. Not enough information, too much information. Let me take an example of SAP. How much time? Okay. So SAP started off, we'll give you information on your supply chain, your production, Well, and that's fine. And then they add more modules, and they add more modules, they add more modules, because they think, hey, we need to add more value. We'll add more modules. And suddenly, you're drowning. And suddenly you're going from screen to screen and logging in and out of this and that and the other. And suddenly your decision-making has become more complex and more difficult simply because you don't have the information at your fingertips. So what are we doing? So, who said we weren't going to sell? What we do is we go and take data from all of the disparate systems. So whether that is an external system that shows market prices, carbon prices, whether that is a monitoring system that sits on a gas turbine control environment and picks up that time series data. And I guess, what's so great about that? Well, to connect into all those different systems requires a whole set of different skills. So on the one hand, we have to have industrial engineers, process engineers. On the other hand, we have to have software engineers and web-based professionals, React professionals if you're on the tech side. We have to have data scientists as well. And all of those, in some cases, for smaller companies like us, have got to reside in the one body. And they're here. They're the uncomfortable guys in suits walking around. You'll see them later on. This is their second time in a suit in their lives. But so what we do essentially is we take all of this data from all these relatively complex environments. We sit down first of all, we talk to people, say, what decisions are you trying to make? And then we put all of that information on one screen. We don't clutter it. We don't add in superfluous stuff. We take out all the junk, and that's what they get. They want to drill down, they can drill down. But essentially our proposition is that you need and you should be entitled to have. The technology is there, complex, but it's there. You should be entitled to have what you need on your desk to make your decisions, because the value that you deliver in your business, in your job, is not in the technology that you're looking at, it's the decisions that you make. And I'll leave you on this point. The most valuable real estate that you own is the screen in front of your face. Thank you.